My name is Manabuchi Obina Emmanuel. I'm your anchor for this program. Welcome to this edition of International Center for Tax Research and Development tax segments. In our last episode, we discussed about withholding tax, and we talked about what withholding tax is. Withholding tax is not a separate form of tax, rather is an advanced payment of tax. But in this episode, we'll be looking at the due dates for filing withholding tax and what withholding tax credit notes is all about. So withholding tax filing, when it comes to payment of withholding tax, could be paid to either the Federal Inland Revenue Service or the state's internal revenue services. So the due date for filing of withholding tax is usually the last day, the 30th of the following month. If the withholding tax is for limited liability company, but however, for unincorporated entity or for individual, the withholding tax will be filed in the tax authority where the person is resident. So the due date for filing withholding tax is usually the 30th day of the next month and the 21st day of the next month when it relates to the state's internal revenue services. So it's very good that we understand this particular aspect. And there's what we call a withholding tax credit note. A withholding tax credit note usually is what you get after the payment of withholding tax. So when withholding tax is deducted from your account, then you should request for a withholding tax credit note. And don't forget, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the Joint Tax Board, has integrated the withholding tax system in such a way that when the withholding tax is deducted from your account, your tax file online is credited. So it's being automated. Unlike before, we have a credit note being issued to you. When you get the credit note, you tender your credit note. So what the tax authority is doing right now is when withholding tax is deducted, there's a mechanism of getting tax credits into your tax account. That means that at the end of the accounting year, when you want to file your annual tax return, it therefore means that you already have some credits in your account as a taxpayer. I think it's a very good thing. And it's very important you also know about that there is penalty for non-deduction of withholding tax. So the penalty is usually 10% of the amount not deducted, and which includes you paying interest based on the prevailing market rates or the prevailing central bank rates of interest. So it's very good you do not expose your company or your organization from the withholding tax liability. So it's key. So on this note, I would like to thank you once again for listening to the last section, the second section of the withholding tax section. And in our next session, we'll be looking at another transactional related tax, which is called value-added tax.